Welcome, everybody. I've been telling you all week. I've been teasing this for a minute. Here it is. Severe picks and plays for 2023. I am Spencer Kyte, your friendly neighborhood Spencer man, back as always, but I got a co-host this year. I got a side. I don't even want to call you a sidekick because this is a two-man operation. I'm joined by the talented, the wonderful Mr. Ian O'Neill. Hi-oh, how are we?
Thank you, Spencer. I'm fantastic, and I'm more than happy to be called your sidekick, my friend. So
it just always sounds like I don't want to be out here being like I'm Batman, you're Robin, bitch.
yeah,
We're both Batman. I'm happy to be Robin. Robin had some good moments of his own, became Nightwing. Fairly cool. We're good.
And if you go along that Batman series, he eventually became Batman as well, I believe, if I do remember correctly. So,
I mean, if we really want to super nerd out, it depends what Robin we're talking about. But now people are like, I thought this was about MMA, dorks.
yeah.
Which it is. It is about UFC Vegas 67, the first event of 2023. Before we get to that, I wasn't able to be on the podcast on the preview show yesterday that yourself and Harry did. Had some childcare duties to take care of with my niece and nephew. So I didn't get to be involved in any of the like, how excited are we just in general? But it's been a little break here. How excited are you to be back into what I love, the groove of things of most Saturdays and most weeks we're doing the stuff we're used to doing and we're looking forward to fights. Are you excited for Saturday?
I really am. You know, it was a good break over the Christmas, and you know, I've noticed over the last couple of years, you know, it does get you the old juggernaut of the UFC, and I try to kind of keep in touch with other MMA organizations as well. And you know, it's tough old slogging, and at the end of the year, you're ready for that break. You're glad of the break, but now I've got that break and I'm good to go. I'm firing at all cylinders. I can't wait for some fights this Saturday. It's going to be great, and a couple of decent fights and a good card, I think, overall.
Yeah, a good card for sure. See, I get the extra little break because I don't try to keep up with too much else. I know what's going on. Obviously, my timeline is full of everything, and I use Twitter and social media to stay up on things. But you guys are doing all of the Irish regional scene for the All Triangle, which is a great program that all of you should check out over on the Patreon, SevereMMA.com/pints, and up here as well on the YouTube page. Check out everything Ian does at O'Neill MMA. Follow me, of course, at Spencer Kyte. And let's get into that card you mentioned. That is a pretty entertaining card for me, my opinion, your opinion as well. And it starts, and I know a lot of people were like, oh, of course. And this is the way we start. Main event change right away. Sean Strickland in for Kelvin Gastelum against Nassourdine Imavov. I actually like this fight better. I think this is a more competitive, more interesting fight. How do you see this fight playing out? What do you think about this matchup in terms of Imavov switching opponents and Strickland doing the back-to-back main event thing coming off that loss just a few weeks ago to Jared Cannonier?
Yeah, I like this main event. I don't hate it at all. Obviously, like, you know, Kelvin Gastelum, who fell out, me and Harry spoke about on the preview show. You know, Gastelum himself would have asked a couple of different questions, perhaps, on what Sean Strickland will do in this fight. But for Imavov, I think this is a good opportunity to come in against a high-ranked guy, a guy who's in the spotlight, a guy that has a little bit of buzz behind him, even though he did lose his last couple of fights. And it's a good opportunity for him to go in there and prove that he belongs in the top of the middleweight division. And I'm really, really excited to see if he can do it.
So who do you got? We are here for picks and plays. We are here for predictions. So the way we're going to do this throughout the year, and I should set it up before we get into this. First and foremost, we will keep track of everything. We will keep track of our prediction records. So at the start of every show, I will let you know how we did the week before, what our win, loss, draw, no contest totals are, and our winning percentages. It is a new year. I am once again trying to hit that 0.700 win percentage. It is a lofty monster of a goal, but I'm hoping to hit it this year. We will also, when we get into the plays, the betting plays, so the way we're going to switch this up this year for Ian and I both to be here and do this and cover this is we're starting our year with $2,000. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we ain't got $2,000 that we're playing with. Our significant others have no interest in our dumb asses spending having a $2,000 bankroll that we actually play with. This is Monopoly money. We are going to make severe MMA bucks at some point to show you. So, as always, please gamble responsibly. If you, your friends, anyone in your family, anyone you know has issues, we will, as always, post the links to problem gambling and responsible gambling websites and help sites in the show notes. But we will keep track all year. And if we run out, then we run out and we've got to beg the bank for a little bit more money when we get there.
Going to be hitting you up, Spencer.
Hopefully it's not going to get there. Hopefully we turn profit in week 1 and it just keeps going that way and we maintain solid bankrolls. But we thought $2,000 was a good round figure. It keeps us from doing just like 50-cent bets and you having to learn the unit system that I was using last year. And so that's where we're going to go. With all of that said, Sean Strickland, Nassourdine Imavov, what is your pick? And do you have any plays that you like for this fight?
Sure. My pick for the fight, and I believe this is going to be a close fought contest, a flick of a coin, but I went with Imavov. A couple of reasons. I do like his kind of stand-up game. His elusiveness. I talked to Harry. He reminds me of that of Cyril Gane on the feet, but he's also got that wrestling background too, which he can rely on if things aren't going his way. Why I'm leaning towards him in this fight is I feel, with Strickland coming in at short notice, I don't know how prepared he is. Obviously, this fight is at 205 right now. I'm unsure right now who that is going to favor. And I feel, you're a big guy in Imavov. I am too. I like his style. I think this is a big test, and I think he's going to kind of look to kind of pass that test and try to pass it in style. And I think Sean Strickland is a guy who might play into Imavov's game here as well. And I can see this fight primarily on the feet. I think Imavov is elusive enough. I think in the later stages, I might worry slightly about Imavov's cardio, but at that stage, he has the option to take the fight down as well and try to control the fight on the ground. So my overall pick in that fight is Imavov. My play for that fight, I'm going to go with a cool $10 bet at plus 300 for Imavov to win by decision. I can see this going all the way. And that's how I feel the fight is going to go. Imavov by decision, plus 300. Cool tenor is going to give you $40 to play around with a little bit later on.
Nice way to turn a profit to start with the first main event of the year. I agree with a lot of what you said in there. I am big on Nassourdine Imavov, which is why it pains me that I lean Sean Strickland here. I don't think the weight class change, I think that's fine for both of them. I think it just saves them from having to cut weight. Both would probably step into the octagon somewhere around 205 pounds anyways. So in honor of our fellow previewer, usually Harry Powell, I will say, fuck weight cutting. The thing that you mentioned about the latter rounds is what intrigues me. I think Sean Strickland has to come into this fight just like somebody lit a fire under his ass. There's no way that he took this fight without it being I can get this foul taste out of my mouth. Now, Nassourdine Imavov may still be good enough to beat a super motivated, focused Sean Strickland. But I just think we've seen Imavov tire. We see the way that he comes out and he's big energy and it's big moves and it wears down in 3-round fights. We've seen Sean Strickland do 5 rounds very recently and a few times before that. And so I just think that with the volume, with the constant pressure, with the edge and experience in these types of situations, I lean Sean Strickland. They are even in terms of betting odds right now at minus 110 each. It is a pick 'em in terms of that. For plays for me, you went Imavov decision. I'm going Sean Strickland decision. A $5 for at plus 250 gets me 1750. And then the other thing that I just looked at just as a little taste is Sean Strickland to finish in round 4 at plus 2200 and Sean Strickland to finish in round 5 at plus 3,300 for $46 and $68 respectively at $2 wagers. Just a little something just in case that gas tank that started to flag a little bit in the Joaquin Buckley fight starts running dry late in this fight.
It's definitely, it's definitely something that I noticed, and actually I had it on my notes, and Harry brought it up on the preview show as well, is that the little snippet, what does get me a little bit worried about the bet is that gas tank, but I do feel there was a lot of shit talk before that Joaquin Buckley fight. And I think that Nassourdine Imavov fought very emotionally in that fight. And I think if he can kind of cull his emotions and be a little bit more methodical in his approach, he can save that energy for the later rounds. Problem is, he's got Sean Strickland right in front of him, who's probably going to be talking shit.
Who's going to be talking from the get-go.
So that's the little fascinating battle that we're going to have in the middle of that fight. But I'll stand firm on my decision for Imavov. But I mean, like I said, same as you, it's a pick 'em fight. Anyone could get it done tonight.
Yeah, great fight. So is, in my opinion, the co-main event, Dan Ige versus Damon Jackson, a pair of veteran featherweights. For me, when I look at this fight, it sort of comes down to whether Damon Jackson can keep this run going. Coming off a great win over Pat Sabatini, really emotional performance 4 days after his older brother Bradley passed away. Dan Ige on a 3-fight losing skid, but it's one of those ones where look past the result, look at who he's fought and the level of competition. It is all a bunch of guys that are better than Damon Jackson, or we should say currently ranked higher than Damon Jackson and have had more prolonged success in the UFC than Damon Jackson, which makes me lean Dan Ige. I think he is just the more complete fighter. I think he's the more powerful fighter. And we've seen Damon Jackson get clipped at times. And if Dan Ige gets you hurt, he's not letting off. He's finding a way to either get you out of there or just keep punishing you. And so for me, I lean Dan Ige in terms of the pick. And in terms of the play, it's just a little $5 Dan Ige to finish at plus 2250. See if he can't connect on one of those Gavin Tucker shots from a couple of years ago, where just right out of the gate, Damon Jackson, he's coming forward. He's looking to close the distance and he eats a right hand or an uppercut or something like that. What are your thoughts on the featherweights?
Similar enough to yourself, Spencer. I feel, this fight is a fight for Damon Jackson, where he can prove that he belongs up there in the top of the featherweight division. And it's a fight for Dan Ige for him to prove that he still belongs there. So we're going to find out on Saturday night. I have gone for a rather safer bet, but I've eaten a little bit more. We're going a little bit sizzler here now for this bet. My pick is Dan Ige. I feel like you, Dan Ige is just still good enough to get someone like Damon Jackson out of there. Although, it's not going to be easy. And that's why my play for that is going to be a $25 bet at Dan Ige straight up at minus 125. And that'll get you a cool $45 back. You got $20 to play around with a little bit later on in the year if that comes up. I'm not quite sure. I have questions about how good Damon Jackson is, or his ability to kind of stay in there and be competitive yet. We will find out and we'll get those answers. I'm not willing to bet on that just yet. So I'm going to go for the safe minus 125 on Dan Ige straight up to win the fight.
Fair enough. I like that play. That's a thing that I don't do enough of, I think. I identified that last year, and in doing this of I need to just find more spots where I like the number. I'm pretty confident of the winner and get in with enough that it becomes a worthwhile return. That's a very good bet. We move to the middleweight division, Punahele Soriano and Roman Kopylov. What are your thoughts, my good man? Who have you got? Any plays that you like in this fight?
My pick for the fight is Punahele Soriano. I feel the styles of both fighters suits Soriano more than Kopylov coming into this fight. Whereas I feel, for a Russian fighter, Kopylov is not really known for taking fighters down. He's happy to stand and bang. But what I've seen in previous fights is he does leave himself open. And I feel he will have the reach advantage. He's good at distance control, and that's going to be super key for him to kind of get the win here. But my pick, like I said, is Punahele Soriano. And I'm going to go with the first round stoppage for Soriano. I'm going to put $5 on a plus 350. I feel that I've seen some openings that Soriano can take advantage of in this fight. And, not super confident of the first round finish, but it was a good price. It intrigued me. And I think Punahele is going to come in there and look to try and catch him with a counter shot. And I think that Kopylov leaves himself open for that. So that's why I go for the first round stoppage by KO. No, it's first round for KO, not submission. Plus 350. $5 gets you a cool $22.50.
I'm in the same boat as you. I talked to Puna yesterday, or I talked to Puna on Wednesday. This will come out on Friday. So I talked to him on Wednesday, talked to him about sort of fighting alongside. He and Dan Ige grew up literally 10 minutes from each other. They have been super close their entire lives. So this is a big deal for them, as it is Puna being the first of 3 Extreme Couture fighters to close out this show with Dan Ige and Sean Strickland as well. He's locked in here. It feels to me like he's really starting to grow up and understand what he needs to do and who he is as an athlete. I think we see that on Saturday. I think he wins. I'm following suit with you a little bit in terms of the wagering side of things. I like the finish idea. I wasn't confident enough to pick a round, so I just went straight finish at $10 plus 137, excuse me. It only returns 23.70. But as I am always saying on this show, profit is profit. And so first round, second round, man. Third round, I would love a bigger number. Great. I'd love to chase something bigger. But look, I think Puna gets it done. We saw it last time out against Dulce Lungiambula. All of his wins, save for one, have been inside the distance. We've seen Kopylov beaten and finished inside the octagon a couple of times. Put the $10 there on Punahele Soriano. See if we can't double it and then some. Get a little extra in the pocket for those days that don't go so well.
Profit is profit, my man.
Profit is profit. Every little bit that you can cash is good. Trust me. After getting down real quick last year, it'll be nice to get some positive numbers right and early. Women's bantamweight division: Ketlen Vieira, Raquel Pennington. I think it's a great fight. I think it's going to be a competitive fight. I really like where Rocky's head is at coming into this. Tons of life things happening for her and Tisha in the last kind of 6-7 months. Congratulations to them. She's in great shape. She's in great form. She's won 4 straight. And I still think she's going to lose, unfortunately. I think Ketlen Vieira is just the more powerful fighter. I think this is going to be kind of similar to what we saw in the Holly Holm fight, frankly. Every time Ketlen Vieira lands, it's going to have a greater impact. It's going to do a little more damage. And Raquel Pennington may not have the answers. Ketlen Vieira is a great big woman. And to her credit, Rocky said, look, this isn't the first time I'm going to be the smaller person. Somebody's going to have a reach advantage on me, whatever. Y'all saw what I did to Macy Chasson. She's big, subbed her out, felt great in there. This is one of those ones that I almost hope I'm wrong, because I'd love to see this run continue for Raquel Pennington and see her get another opportunity to fight for gold, where hopefully, knock on wood, it's not coming after a horrific ATV accident where her career is in jeopardy. But I just don't think she can get past Ketlen Vieira. I'm staying away from it from a play perspective, because there's not really anything I like. I think it goes the distance. Kind of just feels like one of those fights that we're going to get. Where do you stand on this one, Io?
Similar enough to you. And like with Rocky, it's like I have such admiration for her for getting back into this position after what she's been through. It's like, even to be in a position, she's had some horrific injuries in her life, a broken back and broken leg, so for her to be able to compete is fascinating to me, to be honest. But, after disappointing losses, she's got herself on a 4-fight win streak. She's coming in against a difficult opponent here in Ketlen Vieira. Rocky knows who she is as a fighter, and that's what you have to respect about her too. She's going to either just chip away with one shot from on the outside or try to close the distance and kind of make it a dirty slogging fight. What worried for me about her in the Aspen Ladd fight is I felt that she hung around and threw wild shots in the pocket too long. And if she does that against someone like Ketlen Vieira, I feel she might be
She's getting cracked.
Yeah, she's going to, because Caitlin Vieira carries some big power and is just a fantastic boxer and is super strong. Both of these women super strong. And I'm interested to see who will win that clinch battle or that strength battle if it does get there. Look at, I was the same as you. And
what'd you find? What'd you find that you like?
I found a $5 bet at plus 550 for Caitlin Vieira to win by KO or submission. And I feel like you, honestly, my pick is Caitlin Vieira to win the fight. If I was gun to my head, I would say it will likely go to a decision. But just look at it. It's week 1. I'm feeling lucky. Yeah, I'm going to throw a cheeky fiver on it, and I'm going to do it a plus 550, and that's going to turn a nice good profit if it comes up as well. But not too optimistic about it. But like I said, feeling lucky. Let's do it. Let's go.
It's a fin that you don't mind losing. Very, very well played. Main card kicks off in the bantamweight division. Umar Nurmagomedov against Hani Barcelos. This is a massive split in terms of odds. Looking at Bet365 right now, Umar Nurmagomedov minus 1,000, Hani Barcelos plus 700. What do you like? Who have you got, and what do you like, Io?
It's hard to look past Umar Nurmagomedov, as I can correctly say it now. On the preview show, I wasn't so lucky that way. It was his first name. I have to say, I'll have to clip that and post it out. It was a good fun. But I think Cousin Umar is going to come in here. Harry excellently described this test for Umar as the veteran test. He came in and put on a real solid performance against Nate Maness in his last fight. And Nate Maness is a real good fighter too. And he looked really good doing that. Struggled to find a bet on this, but I did find one. Look, I said it's week 1. Not every week am I going to have a bet on each fight, so I wanted to come in all guns blazing this week. What I did is a cheeky fiver on the under 2.5 rounds at plus 200. We'll get you back a cool 15. You'll double your money. You'll triple your money, actually. And I think, I would imagine this fight is going to go all the way. I fancy Nurmagomedov to get the decision. But look, for the fun of it, we put a fiver on plus 200, get you back 15, under 2.5 rounds. If something happens, you never know. We could have an injury. We could have, I don't know what may happen. But likelihood is what you said is this fight will likely go to a decision with Nurmagomedov getting the win. You've
got the under 2.5 rounds for a fiver at plus 200. I've got the finish at plus 200 for a similar $5 wager.
Let's go. We can both be winners
here. $15 return. So listen, we're going to kick off the main card rooting for the same things. I too think Umar Nurmagomedov wins this fight. I think it'll be a good test, as you guys talked about on the preview show. And please, ladies and gentlemen, go and check out the preview show. Check it out every week, every Thursday. Ian, myself, Harry Powell, occasionally Shawnee Podcast, the Pod God, Sean Sheehan. It's worth your time. You're not going to find a better weekly preview show in this space. I'm not saying it just because it's us and because I'm on it most weeks and things like that. And Ian hosts it and he's here. You're just not going to. We care more than anybody else It's just the way it is. I'm just going to give it to you straight. We care more than anyone else So tune in every Thursday when it goes up. Check it out. Back to this one. I same boat as you. I just think Umar is too good. He is somebody that I think, depending on how the year plays out, he could be in title contention by the end of the year. I said on 10 Things today that one of the things I loved is that he's fighting in January, because it means there's a chance we could get 3. Hell, we might be able to get 4 if he wants to go crazy. We haven't gotten more than 2 ever. And so if he goes out and has a great performance, beats Hani Barcelos, he's fighting into the top 10 next time out. And from there, it just takes one more. The right matchup, it takes one more, especially with a little bit of confusion at the top of the division right now. It's going to be really interesting to see. I love that we have a similar bet. I love that we're rooting for the same things in that one. That'll close out the main card. Closing out the prelims, I see a little shuffle here from what I had originally talked about and originally broken it down. We now have another bantamweight fight, Javid Basharat and Matthias Mendonca, a pair of Contender Series grads, Basharat from 2021, Mendonca from last year, 2022, season 6. Who do you like? What do you like? How does this one go?
fight, it's all about Javid Bashrat. Look at we had a little bit of an exchange before. Mendoza, not the easiest guy to find some tape on. A little bit of man of mystery. What we do know is that he's got some vicious power. He's got TNT in his hands, man, and he's not afraid to throw them either. Unfortunately for him, I believe in this fight he's coming in with what I would like to believe a more sophisticated striker and a better all-round mixed martial artist than Javid Bashrat. This is probably my most confident pick and play of the whole night, to be honest. My pick would be Javid Bashrat, and my play is $25 for Bashrat to finish at plus 137. It gets you a cool $59.25. I mean, it might cover all of next week's bets if we get it up, Spencer, or not.
Right.
Be picking up the pieces or playing with the house money next week. I think this one will depend on what Javid does in there. I do feel he's better overall, and even if it goes to the mat, it's just a finish. We're not looking for a knockout here. We have a submission. Bashrat obviously showcased his striking abilities early in his UFC career in Dana White's Contender Series, but it was his win over Tony Gravely, who I've spoken to personally and who I do believe is a really good fighter as well. His ability to outstrike him and also to outgrapple him, his strength in the grappling department absolutely blew me away in that fight. And I just think, as little as I know about Mendoza, I would be very surprised. Look at worst case scenario here, or best case scenario, Mendoza comes in and beats Bashrat. Well, then we've got another one that we can get excited about. But I truly believe this is Bashrat's fight to lose.
And if he does come out and beat the older member of the Bashrat family, good chance he ends up fighting the younger brother at some point.
Baby bro is going to come in for sure.
Comes in and is like, cool, now face me. I actually stayed away from this one. And I will admit here that part of it is because I really like Javid Bashrat way too much. I've had a chance to talk to him before each of his last two fights, this one and the Tony Gravely fight, striking up a good rapport with him. Love his mindset, love the approach that he has, the confidence that he has, and then looked at the lines and was just like, there's nothing that I like enough that I will feel happy losing. Is the easiest way for me to put it. And look, this isn't me saying I'm biased towards Javid Bashrat in terms of no matter who he's facing, I'm going to pick him. There's going to be matchups down the road where I'm going against the Snow Leopard, undefeated as he is, as skilled and talented as he is. But right here, right now, the thing he said to me on Wednesday about this just being a level too high for Mendonca, show him, look, you're good, you're talented, you've never tasted defeat, said all the right things, comes from a great gym, praising the Shoot the Box Diego Lima crew with Charles Oliveira and Alan Nascimento and those guys, 100% correct. And then he kind of paused and was like, but I've never tasted defeat either. And that's the piece to me that wins him this fight. He knows what needs to get done in there. I think he gets the job done. I do think there are avenues for finishes. I've stayed away from a play, but my pick as well, similar to you, I think we've been in lockstep this whole way through so far, other than the main event, is Javid Bashrat. Move to the middleweight division, Abdul Razak Al Hassan and Claudio Ribeiro, another Contender Series grad in Ribeiro.
Hey!
Oh, man. See, you remember it too, which I got to say, like, to his credit, it stood out. It put his name, it put him in your memory banks. I remember back in the fall, we were talking about it as it happened. I talked about it in one question. Can he be a guy that is known for more than just that? We're going to find out, because Abdul Razak Al Hassan is coming 100 to start this fight, just like always. And here's the thing. If it goes past a round, Claudio Ribeiro is probably going to win, because Abdul Razak Al Hassan has never won a fight that has left the first round. All of his wins are inside the opening 5 minutes. And I kind of like Abdul Razak Al Hassan to get it done. I just think the move to Elevation Fight Team, working with that crew, the big power guy that's been in there and has some experience at this level. I'm really patient and really sort of unsure about this year's Contender Series class, outside of maybe Bo Nickel, because they're just the amount of competition, the level of competition for me hasn't quite been there. And so I can see Abdul Razak Al Hassan coming out and landing one of those judo thunder bombs real quick in this fight. It's the play I made. $2, round 1 TKO or KO, plus 260. Again, it's only $2, but a 720 return. We make a $5 profit. That's a $5 I can spend on one of those cheeky little plays that I just, don't mind spending next week when we get there. What are your thoughts on this one?
My thoughts are that this fight is not going to leave the first round. For a lot of the reasons that you said as well. The only difference
Which
is
should probably be a play. Like, let me just, sorry to interrupt. Should probably be a play if both of us are sitting here being like, it's probably not leaving the first round. You might want to look at the under 1.5.
100%. Yeah. I'm not too sure that thinking back, and maybe I could pull it up, but the prices weren't too intriguing for me to go on the under or for anyone to win in round 1. So, like I said, just not super confident in this pick. I went with Claudio Ribeiro. I went for him to win by KO in round 1. I put $5 down at plus 250, gets you a cool 1750 back. Like I said, not super confident about this. It was more so, we've seen Al Hassan get rocked and get hurt in the first round before too. He's a guy who likes to put the pressure on, walk you down and land those big strikes. I feel, with Ribeiro, he throws wild. If he lands wild, he might cause Al Hassan trouble in here. That was my pick. Like I said, not super confident. Ribeiro, my pick for that fight is Ribeiro for maybe another reason, that if he does manage to take it out of round 1, and push on and maybe kind of take control of the fight. But my play, not super confident. First round KO, plus 250, $5, get you 1750.
Yeah, that round total of the under 1.5 is at minus 225. So not a very appealing number. There are some reasonable round props in terms of either guy. And on Bet365, you can bet each fighter individually, or you can take an either fighter line. So the either fighter for round 1 is minus 137. Not great, but if you think it's going inside the distance, inside the first 5, maybe not a bad play as well. We shift to the lightweight division. Mateusz Rebecki against Nick Fiore. I didn't get through all of the preview show. I don't know how much you guys talked about this, so I'm just going to lay out here and let you talk about the 30-year-old veteran lightweight from Poland facing the brand new newcomer who is 6-0. And as our guy Craig Allen pointed out earlier in the week, has one of the ugliest opponent records if you add up the totals, because he fought professional opponent Jay Ellis twice. Jay Ellis had 91 losses and then 98 losses in their 2 fights. It's a tough one to judge. What were you guys' thoughts yesterday? What are your thoughts today? And are you making any wagers here?
You didn't miss a whole lot in the preview show because we didn't really get around to it. We acknowledged this fight. We acknowledged the record. We spent a little bit. We tried to keep it time constrained, and we spent a lot of time on the main event and the co-main event. So unfortunately, the 2 gentlemen mentioned, Rebecki and Fiore, didn't get too much of a mention. But what I will tell you is that Rebecki is a former FEN lightweight champion, of a good, solid promotion over in Eastern Europe, or in Poland maybe as well. He has a chin like I've seen no other. He ate a kick on his Dana White Contender Series at the start of the fight, and he just ate it for breakfast. It was unbelievable.
Just walked through it. Just kept moving. Through it. Didn't even, like, we talk about this sometimes of like guys having good chins, guys taking shots. He didn't flinch. No. It was like there was nothing. He got hit with a Louisville Slugger upside the head and just kept in a straight line to close the distance on his man.
Indeed. And that's what he wants to do in fights. He wants to close the distance. He wants to put fighters down on their back, and he wants to pound them out or look for the submission. A little bit of an issue here with Nick Fiore, because he is, I believe, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I believe he's, Harry said in this fight that he is the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach for the New England Cartel, I believe, as well. So that kind of makes it a little bit interesting here. I'm just looking at Fiore's experience here, and he's not really fought anybody. If you look at it, there's a massive experience advantage here for Rebecki. And I think that he's good enough, and I think that he's going to be strong enough to win this fight and to get it down. Will he get the finish on the ground like he does? It's hard to know, because I don't know too much about Fiore. I think there's too many questions out there. My pick for the fight is Mateusz Rebecki. my play for the fight is for over 1.5 rounds, $5 at a 110, a cheeky fiver. You're not going to gain too much. You're going to get 10.50 out of it, but it'll give you maybe some money to play around with next week. That's my pick for this fight. My pick is maybe Fury. I think is probably not good enough to win, but maybe good enough to survive for over 1.5 rounds.
Gives you an extra fin for next week. This is the theme of episode 1 of this tandem, and I'm sure it will continue throughout. Just make a little extra to play with next week. We both grew up around racetracks and around gambling, around betting. You make a little extra to play with next week. You just add to the bankroll. And eventually the 5 extra, the 10 extra is now 20 extra and 30 extra. And away you go.
Ain't nothing like playing with the house money, Spence.
That's right. It's the best money to play with. I have the same sort of general ideas about this fight as you do. Loved what I saw from Matthias Rebecki on the Contender Series. He is my pick to win this fight, but I'm a little more high on Nick Fiore than a lot of people probably are. I understand the record is like the opponent record is terrible. I get it. He's one of these guys that just isn't getting anybody to fight him because he's that good. Or so is what I have been told. So is what I have seen on the regional circuit. At times it can be an absolute gong show. Guys pulling out the day before. That's how you end up fighting Jay Ellis a couple times. Jay's always around to take a fight on a Saturday night. And that's what happens. In terms of plays, this is the one where I'm like, I got a couple loonies in my pocket. And folks, loonies are Canadian $1 coins. They are golden color. They feature a bird called a loon on them, which is why we call them loonies. We also have $2 coins, which are called toonies. They're gold and silver. So I got a couple loonies that I don't mind throwing away. And that's Nick Fiore to win by decision at plus 550 and Nick Fiore to win at plus 550, which would be a 650 return for my dollar. Like that math. And then Nick Fiore to win by decision at plus 1400. A dollar gets me 15. And just in case this guy is as good as advertised, albeit from his coach, Tyson Chartier, who's been a guest on a conversation with, just in case he's as good as I've been told, and he comes out here and shows it on Saturday, I wouldn't mind making a $14 profit on Nick Fiore's debut.
I love it. I love it.
We move to the flyweight division. Alan Nascimento against Carlos Hernandez. Nascimento, a teammate of Matias Mendonca from the Shoot to Box Diego Lima team. 1-1 in the UFC, coming off a win over Jake Hadley, a guy that we're familiar with, high on generally speaking in terms of his upside. Carlos Hernandez, a Contender Series graduate himself, coming off a split decision win over Victor Altamirano. Who do you like? What do you like, if anything?
Oh, I like something in this one. I've got a bit of a flyer bet and this one, if I do say so.
Oh, I love this. This is already the best.
I love this fight. I'm very interested to see Nascimento because, like you said, that win over Jake Hadley, that's a good win in my book, because I've seen Jake Hadley come up, and he's not an easy guy to get a win over, but the way Nascimento won that fight, he completely dominated Hadley once he kind of got settled into the fight, and my pick for this fight is Alan Nascimento. I do believe Hernandez does have some good traits. He's not going to be easy to take down. He doesn't accept takedowns when he is taken down. Good moving forward, but does leave himself open for for a kind of a takedown as well. And I can see that kind of fight happening where we're going to play around a little bit on the feet. We're going to be scrambling a little bit. We're going to see guys on their back. And I think that's going to equal to a kind of a grueling kind of cardio-based fight. And what I've seen with Hernandez is that he does kind of get a little bit tired towards the end of the fight, where Nascimento might not necessarily be fighting like he's fighting at the start of round one, but he doesn't seem to kind of gas out. He maintains a certain level of cardio and a certain level of pressure and aggression in a fight. So my pick is Alan Nascimento. My bet, my play is Nascimento to win in round 3. And I think it's going to be a $5 bet at plus 1100, at plus 1100. And I think that's my flyer bet. Probably bet too much on it, to be honest. Later on in a couple of further episodes down the line, we are probably going to be culling our bets a small bit. Like I said, I got a little bit excited first time on with Spencer. Look, we're getting a little bit excited here. But if this comes up, I mean, it pays for the whole night's bet, and then probably next week as well. We'll stick
exactly. Exactly. Sometimes you got to swing big to win. Swing big to win big. I too like Alan Nascimento in this fight. He's somebody that I've talked about this week as a potential dark horse in this division. I think he is at the right age with a good team, with some good experience to be a guy that can have some success in a division that is primarily pretty young. Bunch of guys that don't have a ton of top end experience and are all sort of in that 30 and under range or just into their 30s, as he is as well. I thought he won his debut against Tagir Ulanbekov. He looked great against Jake Hadley, as you said. For me, the pick is Nascimento as well. And in terms of the play, it's $5 on Nascimento to get a finish. I like the point you made about Hernandez sort of tiring. We saw both his Contender Series fight and his debut went the distance, split decision fights. He tends to get in close fights. That's not a good thing if you're facing a guy that's as polished and as experienced as Alan Nascimento is. And so we'll see if the Brazilian can get a finish somewhere in there. He's got 15 minutes to do it at plus 175. 5 gets me 1375. Same as we've been saying throughout. A little extra to put in the bank for later. If we've got to start culling some of these down the road and stop looking at every fight and making all of these plays, we will. But for week 1, we got to have some fun. Featherweight's up next. Daniel Argueta and Nick Aguirre, who steps in on short notice. Trying to remember who he replaces. Isaac Dolgarian from the Glory MMA and fitness team. This, for me, from a betting perspective, is a stay away just because of the short notice of it. I like Daniel Argueta. I thought he was going to win this fight even when it was Isaac Dolgarian. Showed well against Damon Jackson, who we talked about earlier in his short notice debut. Had some success, showed a little bit on season 29 of The Ultimate Fighter, which I know you didn't watch, but I did. But when you get a situation like this, he's a huge favorite. It's his sophomore fight in the UFC. There's limited experience in terms of the big fight, even for Argueta. And so for me, it's a stay away. I think he wins, but no plays here.
I could not have explained that better myself, to be honest. I'm completely with you. I no bet on this fight because it's a late minute. I didn't have enough time to kind of look back and kind of assess it. So I'm not going to put a bet down, but my pick would be Daniel Argueta. I think he's a good, solid grappler. One thing about Argueta, what I've found is that he likes to talk a bit. He's a little bit lackadaisical inside the octagon, and I think that has cost him on occasions before. I think he needs to be a little bit more switched on at all times when that octagon cage closes. And if he does do that and he keeps to that kind of mentality, I think he's going to be a dangerous guy in the 145-pound division without getting too excited about how far he can go. But, you know, some lapses in concentration, talking mid-fight, kind of laughing and joking, you know, that's not what I necessarily like to see, especially when a guy is taking your back and you're just talking shit to him. I mean, you know, let's get out of back position, Daniel. So
right. Get him off your back and then talk.
Yeah, absolutely. So look at that being said, you know, I still go for Argueta in here. I think he's a good, solid overall fighter, a well-rounded fighter, and he should get the job done here.
Another stop in the flyweight division. Jimmy Flick returns after a 2-year retirement, 2-year hiatus to take on Charles Johnson. What are your thoughts? And are there any plays in the flyweight second fight of the night?
Oh, you know it, baby. You know it. I ain't going to not bet 2 fights in a row. So this fight for me is what Jimmy Flick are we going to see in there? Because if this was a fight that was scheduled last year straight or soon after what I seen of Jimmy Flick the last time,
right,
I would have more of an assured kind of assessment on how this fight is going to go. My pick for the fight is Charles Johnson. I think Charles Johnson does have the ability to get the job done. My big worry was Jimmy Flick's striking game. I think he's very open and loosey-goosey, a little bit on the feet, and he could get exposed a little bit, but he's been away for 2 years, and you know he's been working hard to get himself into a position like this again. Look, with Flick, we know what he's going to want to do. He's going to want to take the fight down. He's going to want to try and get the submission. He's had 16 wins, 14 by submission so far. But look, Charles Johnson in his defeat by Muhammad Mokaev, he impressed me because he kept getting back up. He refused to be taken down. And yeah, he lost that fight, but I feel that if he has the ability to do that with someone like Muhammad Mokaev, I think he's going to be able to do it against a guy like Jimmy Flick. My bet for the fight is for the fight simply to go the distance. I don't think we're going to see a finish in this fight. I'm going to stick $10 plus 175, get you 27.50. Fight to go the distance. I'm confident Charles Johnson is going to win, but there was no value in any of those prices. So that's why I just picked for the fight to go to the distance. And I think relatively confident that it might.
We've been in lockstep for many of these. We are not in lockstep here. Give me Jimmy Flick. Give me the brick coming back after a 2-year hiatus. Look, I said it on one question. I said it on 10 things. You show me a guy that hits flying triangles in the UFC, I'm in. It's probably careless here. It's going to be careless with the $5 wager on Jimmy Flick to finish after a 2-year hiatus at plus 450. But as you said, 16 wins, 14 submissions. You want to give me a chance to make 27.50 for a $5? I'm going to take that bet. Charles Johnson, as you said, showed some good things in his fight with Muhammad Mokaev as a former LFA champion. Even showed some okay things in his split decision win over Zhalgas Zhumagulov last time out, where he got kicked so many times in the leg, he had to stamp out the dead leg. I just think Jimmy Flick is one of those guys that is never not moving forward and never, patient and waiting and just content with being in a position. He's always hunting. He's always looking for something. And I think after 2 years away, we may see rust. This is the fight where I can be absolutely dead wrong, and I wouldn't be surprised at all, because 2 years away is 2 years away, and it's tough. We don't know how much he was training. We don't know what was going on in his life, anything like that. I just know I saw him hit a flying triangle on Cody Durden.
Well, yeah, I agree.
And that guy's coming back, and he's going to be hunting for weird shit from the get-go. And
the ability to be able to do that as an extremely good grappler as well. It's like look at it. I think a lot can be said about a few fighters on this card. I'd even kind of say the same about Alan Nascimento as well, because you have such confidence in your grappling ability. You can throw those wild shots, and that flying triangle resulted from a left high kick that got caught. I don't think you're going to catch a high kick.
You're going to catch that kick and run him down, and instead he jumps up and locks up a triangle, and you're like, unbelievable. I'm fucked.
And that's happened. I think that finishing X factor definitely lies with Jimmy Flick. With Charles Johnson, I like the way that he nullifies attacks on the ground submission-wise, and also his ability not to take a super amount of damage was what impressed me in the Mokaev fight as well. And the same, look, he got hit quite a bit at the start of the Zamigulov fight, Charles Johnson did, but unless Jimmy Flick has been over there and absolutely murdering pads for 2 years, I can't see him doing that. But this is a pick and fight. We don't know, but relatively confident with Johnson that he can nullify the attacks, possibly land more on the feet, and win somewhat a controversial decision, I would say. It's the two of these guys have a stylistic kind of a way of fighting where they don't really land too many impactful shots. So we could be looking at this fight where there's small spells of damage from either fighter that might tip either one over the edge when it comes to the scorecards.
We open the night, we open the year with the ladies in the flyweight division. Priscilla Cachoeira and Sijara Eubanks should be fireworks. From a betting perspective, I'm staying the hell away. I have no real good sense. Like, this is that fight where if you told me it ended in a double knockout, I wouldn't really be surprised, because they're both just going to kind of wade into the center, step into the pocket, and just see who falls over first. I lean Priscilla Cachoeira because we've seen the zombie girl resistance and ability to sort of push her way through, but it's an absolute coin flip. I want nothing to do with it from a gambling perspective. We've talked throughout the episode about fivers that I don't mind throwing away. I'm keeping the fiver on this one. There's no money to throw away on this one. What about you?
I got a little bit of money to throw away on this one. But I like.
We're gonna be like 5 episodes in, and Ian's gonna be like, "So, had to hit up the Bank of Spencer."
Yeah, 100%. Look, we'll see how week 1 goes, and we in likelihood
Reassess after that.
we'll be culling our bets next week. But I slightly disagree on this fight. My pick is Sahar Eubanks to get the win. Look at. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that Cachoeira goes out there and lights her up on the feet as well. What I feel is going to happen in this fight is that I think Eubanks might come out and look to trade, but I feel that she's going to realize pretty early in this fight that she's got a pretty big speed disadvantage. And when she does realize that, I can imagine that she's going to try and close the distance and put Cachoeira on her back and try to control her for the entirety of the fight en route to a decision. And I think if she can do that, she will win the fight, obviously. And if Cachoeira can keep her off her and land the shots, I think Cachoeira wins and might even go on to get the finish as well. Like I said, my pick, Eubanks. My play is Eubanks by decision, a plus 250, cheeky fiver, 17.50. Bob's your uncle, Mary's your aunt. That's it.
Any other accumulators, any little parlays that you like throughout the card, anything you looked at but chose to stay away from?
No, I think we're after spending enough money this week already.
Fair enough.
No, but like I said, the parlays and stuff like that, I'm definitely going to introduce them in coming weeks. Like I said, I came in hot the first week. We did a little bit of a bet on each fight. It could go great, it could go horrible. We'll see what happens. Next week, obviously we'll give our picks for every fight. My plays might not be as forthcoming on from future cards. I might, some fights, some of the fight night cards, they're just too hard to pick sometimes when have these up and coming fighters. So look at feeling confident, feeling excited to be on here talking some fights with you today. So I said, I'd bring the heat, bring the money. We'll see what happens.
So I've got a couple little parlays that I like. One of them is a $10 parlay with just fighters that I feel the most confident in earning victories. It is an all chalk parlay. We're not throwing any dogs in here. We're not going crazy. Working from the bottom of the card up, it's Alan Nascimento, Javid Basharat, Umar Nurmagomedov, and Punahele Soriano. $10 at plus 199. Turns into 1985, just about $20. 1985, a good year. I remember it fondly. I think all 4 of them win. I like the opportunity for all 4 of them to win. We talked about it. We were in lockstep on all of those fights. So let's just see. As you said, it's week 1. There's not going to be a lot of $10 4-fight parlays from me. If you watched prior to this iteration, I didn't make a lot of parlay bets because I'm the guy that's always telling my friends here at home, just make straight bets. Just get into these 3-fight, 4-fight, 3-game, 4-game parlays where you win 3 out of 4 legs and still come home empty. Most times it will be straight bets, but we had to have a little fun in week 1. The other thing I have, as always, are the picks and plays parlays overall. So a $1 parlay for all my main card picks, for all my prelim card picks, and then for the full fight card. So main card, those 5 winners comes to those 5 athletes comes to plus 1,005. So $1 gets you 1005. Prelims comes to plus 4,672, where you get 46.85 for $1 if we happen to run the table. And if we go top to bottom, if we go tip to tails and get everything right on week 1, $1 turns into $528.03. We will be set for the year, Io. The Bank of Spencer will be ready to make loans to you.
Going to be hitting you
when
up,
you
brother,
need to be coming over. It's been a while since I've had a perfect night. I hope this is the year because we're doing this. I need one every once in a while just to remind myself that it's possible. Fight night cards are usually the ones that are harder to do it. As you said, we get some pretty competitive fights. I think the last one I did it on was a pay-per-view and it felt pretty chalky. I think the only upset in there was Neil Magny beating Li Jingliang, coming back off an injury. Neil Magny, thank you for that, by the way, Neil. But that's it for week 1. What we're going to do is I'm going to get Ian to send me all of his bets. And in the Saturday setup, which is a piece we run on the website that sort of brings all of our pre-fight content together. You'll get the preview show. You get all of my videos from here on the YouTube page. We put them all together on the website so you can go to one spot, pull up the article. We'll put all the bets in there. We'll put all of our picks in there. We'll put all the bets in there so you can follow along. You can know how we're doing year to year. We'll update you at the start of next week. But for now, the bankrolls are full. We haven't lost a dime. We haven't gotten any picks wrong. And we've had a lot of fun. This is going to be great, Io. I am so pumped to do this.
Me too, man.
I cannot wait.
I'm buzzing. I cannot wait as well.
We're one episode in, and I'm already in love with this program.
Me too, man. I can't wait for next week already. It's going to be
we got a pay-per-view next week. Big fights. Big fights.
Goodness.
As I said off the top, please go and follow Ian at O'Neill MMA. Follow myself at Spencer Kyte. Follow everybody on the team. Follow the Patreon, SevereMMA.com/pints. It also costs you $5 and is well worth it. Get loads of content. Ian is on there with a bunch of great stuff. Sean and Harry had a Speaker's Corner come out yesterday that you should definitely go and check out. Tons of great content. Check out the website. Keep checking out the YouTube page. Follow us on Saturday. We will be updating as we go. We will let you know whether we're winning or losing.
It's going to be an emotional roller coaster.
It's going to be fun. This adds the little enjoyment wrinkle to every fight card. We already enjoy it. This just makes it even more fun. For Ian, I am Spencer. This is the Picks and Plays. We'll see you next week.